Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Netflix Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Netflix original Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso, and Netflix costs how much now? And this
Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast.
Brandon and friends host this podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Now, for what it's worth, Netflix didn't slap their logo on this movie. I think it's just like, hey, we'll house
Come
it
and
here.
join us.
But
I didn't think of it till just now when Alonso said that $22 a month, and I watched this on it. Didn't think of it till just now. Didn't think of it. But I did learn that they lease stuff. Yeah, that's like, I was listening to a podcast and a stand-up comedian is like, if you're in-house with Netflix, then your stuff they buy it. But if they're not sure about you, they'll lease your special. They'll you'll get X number of hours on the front page when people open it. And then if it hits, then great. If it doesn't hit, then we'll put it on the back catalog for X number of days. And if a certain number of people don't watch it, then it's back. You get it back. So like, that's dangerous. That seems tough.
I mean, this production company, we've seen that logo before, and I'd say like they're clearly this is a company that wants to be like Brad Cravoy / Mar Vista, and they're getting there, I suppose.
they're getting there.
One holiday California wine movie at a time.
That's exactly right. Alonso, how are you? We're getting close to book time, I believe.
Yeah, we are.
In just a couple weeks.
We my book.
Man, it looks so good.
Pride.
Oh, that is a good size book.
Yeah, it's substantial. Yeah, it's coming out May 14th. Pre-order now. There's a book, there's an ebook, there's an audio book.
You're going to want to get all three of those. I don't know about the ebook. I know this. For me personally, I'm going to want to hear the soothing sounds of Alonso Duralde reading the book. And I'm going to want to have a copy for my coffee table that people come over, they see the book, it's beautiful. You're going to want both. It's a both and situation here.
I mean, I'm proud of the audiobook, and I hope it came out well. But like, yeah, there's no pictures in it, so there is that. The pictures are a real selling.
But you
point
describe
here,
the pictures. You say, if you had it,
so in this
is what you would see. Oh,
That's
what
a
are you?
Separate audiobook you have to buy. Alonso describes.
Marlena
the pictures.
Dietrich is in a top hat,
right, yes,
and
correct.
What speed are you gonna roll with?
Well, I'm a 1.7 guy on Audible. I feel like just to make sure that I give a dear friend credit, I'm going to knock it down to 1.5, 1.4.
Wow.
Which is that.
I'm
that's going to
touched.
feel like slow. But I'm so used to talking to you that I think I might have to go one. If I
It would maybe feel weird if it was sped up.
yeah, I've never read a book on Audible of someone that I know personally and I talk to regularly. Like my brother wrote a book and I was reading it and I kept speeding up as I would hear him speeding up, and I couldn't. But having it read to me, I think I might have to go with one speed. We'll see. We'll see how fast you're reading.
Let me know. It's funny because the one time that I had to put you guys on a different speed was when I was transcribing episodes for the book, and I was slowing you down so that I could keep up when typing, and you all sounded drunk.
But Alonso on helium's a good time. It is a good time.
Good time anytime.
And I think there's a helium shortage, so this will get
This is good.
This will, in lieu of actual helium, get the audiobook.
Just speed it up. Yeah. There you go.
Holiday in the Vineyards. Are we ready? Shall we?
Yeah.
I think so.
Let's do it.
December 13th, 2023. It just snuck in there right before Christmas. I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, come on. We'll put it out, I guess. And it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with a group of people waking up from a night of...
Wake me up.
on the golf course.
Can't wake up.
Because I am drunk. Say me. They're drunk. They woke up. They had a crazy. They were drunk. They woke up. I don't know what's going on, but they clearly had quite the nights, and they ended up on the golf course. It's Carter. He is living a carefree life. He's a bit of a playboy, you might say. He shows up late to brunch with his mom, and his mom is not pleased. They own a very large wine company, Baldwin Wine, and their specialty is bad wine. And they just wants my son to take this business seriously. I've grown it, and I want him to take it seriously. Just doesn't do it. So she sends him off to try to do some recon on the final vineyard that is in the same area in which all of their other vineyards are for Baldwin Wines, and find out kind of what the skinny is. There's word that they're going to be selling. Maybe we can get in there cheap, and then we'll just have all the vineyards. To make things worse, she wants him to blend in so people don't know that he is a Baldwin. So she sends him in the most discreet vehicle, the bright yellow Fiat. And he shows up and immediately bumps into Valentina. She's the real estate agent in charge of selling this vineyard. When she asked what he does, he says, "I'm a carpenter like Jesus." So she's like, "Oh, well, I actually am in need of a carpenter. My guest house, I'm trying to finish it, make it a guest house. And if you want to, you could work on it and then stay there as well." And so he's like, "Great. I was going to stay at this really crappy hotel. This is way better." First night, though, it's tough. It's cold. There's no door. The next day, he goes to the hardware store and meets Mo, who agrees to
How you doing, young buck?
at least transport the necessaries. In exchange for him trying his wine. Mo has been trying his hand at wine for a long time.
That's right.
He's passionate about wine, and hey, would you try this? And he's like, "Sure, I'll try it." Because even though Carter is like lazy and a playboy, he knows what he's talking about.
He knows wine.
He knows wine.
He grew up around wine.
Yeah.
He has a
He
nose.
has a nose. And so he tastes it, spits it out, and it's like, "Hey, will you help me?" Mo's like, "It's going to cost you more wine advice." So we'll see what happens there. Carter then finds out that Val is actually a widow after spending some time hanging out with her kids. He gets to work on the drywall. It does not go well, so naturally he's going to have to figure out what to do. Val comes in, and he's shirtless, and she's like, "Wowza!" And they actually spend some time together. They're drinking some wine that has been created around the area using the vineyard, and it's actually not bad wine. And he's like, "Oh, this whole time I thought Baldwin wine was bad because of the vineyards, but maybe there's good wine to be had here." And they end the night by almost kissing, but she pulls away last second. Carter finds out that a group of locals are trying to come together to buy the vineyard so that Carter's family can't do that, because the entire town basically uses this vineyard to make their own delicious wine. In fact, yes, that's what they do. Carter feels bad about coming in and buying up the last of the land, especially since all the locals not only use the vineyard for the grapes, but also use the space to make the wine. So he tells his mom that he wants to stay and see this through. Okay? And by see it through, he means build Val's kids a ramp in the backyard to practice snowboarding. He finishes the project, though, and is about to leave when he's invited by Mo to come by the market. But when he gets there, he realizes that it's just a setup to get Carter and Val to hang out. He's having a good time with Val. He's having such a good time, in fact, that he goes and he leaves his mom a voicemail saying, "We absolutely cannot buy this vineyard."
Absolutely.
Sure she won't.
Yeah, she
won't. With that type of passion. He comes back. He salsa dances hard with Val, and they end up kissing on the dance floor. When he takes a break, though, Val, Carter, they find out the bad news that Baldwin Wine outbid the town at the last seconds, and they now own the vineyards. Carter's can't take this anymore. He's been holding the secret that he's a Baldwin for this entire movie, and he finally comes out and he says, "It's me. I did it. I am a Baldwin." Everyone's very mad at him. Val storms off. But Mo's his boy. Mo and Carter have become friends. And so he lets him stay at the hardware store for the night. But when he wakes up, Mo does punch him in the gut. Give him the option, face or gut.
Yeah, face or gut.
What can you
As
do?
you do.
But they do hatch a plan together, and the plan is this. Baldwin is having their big Christmas party, and so what they're going to do is every year Baldwin brings in some actual good wine for the party. We're going to switch the good wine with...
It's a real Folgers Crystal situation.
That's right.
Yes.
With Mo's good wine. And that way, when they taste it, they're like, this is amazing wine. And then they can do the old switch them ups. Look at what you're actually drinking. So Carter gets on stage. He announces that Baldwin bought the vineyard, and they're going to use this vineyard to launch another branch of the company that makes actual good wine, such as the wine you're drinking, which is actually pulls off the label. It's Mo's wine. Mom is surprised, taken aback, but ultimately is proud of her son for actually doing something. That's right. Val is there to see all of this, and that's enough for her to forgive him for lying to her about his identity. The movie ends with Carter, Val, and the boys out on the ski slopes having a great time, and that, my friends, was Holiday in the Vineyards.
We did it.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll break this movie down here on Deck the Hallmark. Welcome back, everybody. I'm having fun. You're having fun. Alonso, you're having fun? Always. We're talking Holiday in the Vineyards.
There's none of them in the movie. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Let's break this movie down. Let's start with a hot take. I'm going to start with you, Alonso. Alonso, what did you think of Holiday in the Vineyard?
I didn't hate this. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. And
Brad, you're in company here. You're not on an island.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Okay. Maybe I was broken by Christmas in California, which the two films that previously starred Josh Swickard, who's the star here. But I'm reminded of the famous quotation from legendary French filmmaker Jean-Luc Godard, where he said, "The best way to review a movie is to make another movie." Mm. And this movie, to me, so often felt like a corrective to the California Christmas movies. Was like, what if the character who's really good at, like, you know, doing wine tasting is somebody who actually was raised in a winemaking family and isn't just a savant sommelier? What if a character who has to build a new room and has no idea how to do so gets outside help in building that new room rather than just magically renovating a barn by himself overnight? What if the lying character kisses the leading lady but doesn't like go all the way with the leading lady before revealing his true identity? So it's like, they're doing a better version of the, you know, yes, are they remaking that movie? They sure are, but they're learning from their mistakes and they're doing it better. And there were actual genuine moments of like funny lines that landed, characters I kind of dug, motivations that made sense. So if you discount the fact that there's no vineyards and no holiday in this movie, there's a lot to like.
That's right. I think that's accurate. I agree with you 100%. Listen, this is the same movie by and large as California Christmas. Same company, Alonso?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, same production
same lead actor. This movie, though, I was pretty darn invested to the point to where Dana was annoyed because I was really locked into it. And I'll just say this. I'll pull back the curtain here. We watched this movie the same day as we watched last week's movie, How the Gringos Stole Christmas. That movie is 20 minutes shorter than this movie. And you could have convinced me it was the other way around. I quite enjoyed it. And I liked this lead guy. The way he does some line deliveries legitimately makes me laugh. I think it's funny. I thought the character of Mo was awesome. Like, just like a cool side character. And overall just really enjoyed it. Dano?
Yeah, these two are underselling one aspect of this film. It's already been made before. This is not.
But haven't they all, Dan?
No,
haven't they all?
Not like this. This is literally. I don't know how to say this. Like, we reviewed California Christmas, and you guys reviewed the sequel. I was out for that one. This is the same exact movie with the same exact lead. Like, playboy, mom sends him down to buy a vineyard. It has to have a secret identity, works on the vineyard, doesn't like, it's the same exact movie. I thought I was being punked. It is the same, not a little bit. Quirky sidekick that isn't white, that's there and like helping him realize that so much of this movie is exactly the same thing.
No butler.
There's no butler. No. There's no butler. You're right. It's uncanny how that Netflix, they literally bought the same horse twice. They did it. It is unbelievable that this has happened. Having said that,
R.I.P. treatment.
Having said that, they're not wrong about it being better. It is. I would not go as so far as to say that I enjoyed myself. But it's definitely better than A California Christmas. They did do what Alonso said they did. I did laugh a few times in this movie. I did somewhat care, I guess, about the characters that were on screen. But this is lazy. This is very lazy. And I spent a lot of time bewildered. Like, I know that we literally as a profession watch the same movie over and over again. I hear what I'm saying, not what I'm not saying. I know that we're going to see the guy and girl end up together through a range of circumstances that could have been fixed with an email. I understand that. This is literally, it would be like if they did another movie where Chris Palaha is an actor and is at the Biltmore and is with Nikki DeLoach, and instead of calling it Christmas at Biltmore, they called it a Biltmore holiday. That's what's happened here. I can't overstate that. It is, the more I looked into it, the more I was, because at first I was like, this is kind of similar to that other thing. And then I started looking into it, and I was just like, they did it. The
Nikki DeLoach inherits a diary from a dead relative movies are all much more different than from each other than this is from California Christmas.
I wasn't even angry. I was impressed that they cracked employment. They cracked the idea of how to get paid for nothing. They did it. This is how you do it. You've already made this movie. So yeah, but better than those movies, I guess. So,
and to the people that are going to be like, hey, Hallmark does the same thing all the time.
I'm just telling you they don't.
The difference is this is the same
lead.
Plot with the same lead. It is this guy who is sent to a vineyard from his mom to get it, and he hides his identity
and works on the vineyard.
Yeah, works on the vineyard.
And has a sidekick that's helping him It is not like Hallmark making a movie where a big city girl goes back to her hometown and meets the hunky high school teacher. That's not, we get it. Those plots have been done 100 times. This is literally the same. The same. I couldn't believe it. In all.
They took the first screenplay, did a save as, and then went in and just
changed a few.
Take the butler out, put the kids in,
Yeah.
It's time for all the feels where we talk about what gave us his feels. Alonso.
I liked the fact that the horny best friend is not admonished for her horniness. I thought there was a real sort of sex positivity to her portrayal as being man hungry, and then they set her up with Mo, and that's very nice.
And they also do a thing where she's like, hey, like in college, she does this thing where she's like, hey, it's fine to be both. Like I wasn't this, and now I am, and
I was nose to the grindstone. I became a nurse. Now I see people dying all the time, so I'm going to live it up. Like that, little things like that. Like the mom later gets an explanation of why she's so ruthless about the way she runs the company. Like they make it a point to sort of flesh out these characters a little bit more than you would expect. My big feel here is there's a movie that I love that I don't. Oh no, I did make Bran watch it actually during 25 Weeks of Christmas. It happened on Fifth Avenue. Yeah. Which is a movie about a group of World War II veterans. I mean, it's about a lot of things, but a group of World War II veterans who are trying to buy an abandoned army base to create affordable housing and fighting with a big rich guy who wants to buy it and turn it into like a luxury, development, blah, blah, blah. And that movie is so much about the power of collectivism that one of the screenwriters actually got hauled in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee. And this movie is about collectivism. This movie is about all of these tiny garagiste, a word I learned from this film, winemakers banding together to get this property and try and keep it out of the hands of the monolith, huge corporation that makes crap wine. And I'm like, okay, yeah, more of this, please.
Carter's Santa suit was not good.
No.
But Carter's Santa was. When Carter went up there on the mic and did the ho, 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 Merry Christmas, I was like, oh, this guy.
It sounded like a different person.
This guy's doing a thing. And so I got some feels from that. Dano?
And the Henley also
of course. Works. Well, yeah. I mean, you can see this guy shirtless a couple times. And I don't want to let a movie go by where that happens, where I don't go, oh my gosh. Yeah. Not bad, pal. Not bad.
Just a not bad.
Yeah, I mean, compared to me.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, no, it's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
I mean,
head start.
The character of Mo is played by Omar Gooding in this movie, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother, which he's unfortunately most known for, would be my guess. But I know him most as Irvin on Hanging with Mr. Cooper, one of my favorite shows on TGIF, even more than Step by Step. Haters don't hate. I loved Hanging with Mr. Cooper. It made me I've never felt older watching a Hallmark movie than seeing Irvin from Hanging with Mr. Cooper being the guy that gives the sage advice.
But he was great.
He was.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is now in that age category where he's like, hey, young buck, you got to learn some lessons. I was like, oh, no. Because Irvin and I think he's in his 40s and I am too. And I was like, if Irvin's old enough to give sage advice, I got to start learning some stuff like quick.
Well, it's like what Martin Starr, the Freaks and Geeks kid is now a dad of teenagers. Yeah. Oh my God, how long has it been?
And you might be wondering, why did Dan say young buck? And it is because his character says young buck
a dozen times.
At least.
Under a dozen times.
Shout out to all the young bucks out there.
Yes.
Let's take one more quick break. We'll come back with the Wait What and the What the Flicks.
What the
Here
Flicks,
on Deck the Hallmark.
Deck the Hallmark.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about Holiday in the Vineyards.
California Christmas.
Yes.
3.
Let's get to the Wait What. This is where we're talking about what in this movie made us go, wait, what? And I'll start with you, Alonso.
I didn't have a ton, frankly. I think I think a lot of this within the framework that it's establishing, kind of works. But okay, so Cindy, the aforementioned sex-positive nurse friend, and does not know Mo, has never met Mo, but is struck seeing him. This is a small town. This is a small town with not a lot of if she's ever set foot in the hardware store, which I'm imagining she would have, she would know who Mo is. So the idea that they had somehow managed to elude each other's attention didn't quite jibe with me in terms of the rest of how this movie presents this little.
You're 100% right. That he is works at a hardware store and sells wine, is historically known in the town. She's from the town. The fact that she doesn't even recognize him is crazy. Yeah. It's just crazy to be like, oh, who's this new person? That was wild.
I thought that was a little bananas. And then, the giant wait, what hang over all of this is did they know that it was a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Because there is, look, we've seen the movies that have 15 trees in an office, we've seen them go too far in the other direction. But this movie, so little effort, so rare that it's mentioned at all. And certainly plot-wise, nothing is hinging on it apart from the coming of the closing of the year, I guess.
They say that they have to sell it by the 24th. That is the closest we get.
The movie ends, or not ends, but has the Christmas party scene. But
the Christmas party, sure.
That's it.
Yeah. But it's Yeah, and it's kind of like, all right. I mean, I'm not saying that every movie has to go full Hallmark with a cookie decorating scene and a tree lighting or whatever, but like, throw me the occasional tinsel-covered bone movie.
This is 2 weeks in a row for me, Alonso. Where
Last
I just
week tried harder.
Last week tried harder, but still,
we got the cactus-shaped Christmas tree.
Yeah. Just need more. Need a little Christmas. That's all I'm saying.
It just goes to show you that if a movie's good, Bran is willing to forgive the Christmas more than if a movie's not good. So if you hear Bran complaining about a lack of Christmas, just know that under that, the movie wasn't good.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
I only got a couple as well. One, there is a scene where he builds this ramp for the kids to practice their snowboarding, and it's sweet. It's a nice gesture. And the kids they give it a shot. That one of the kids is doing it multiple times, and we see it, and he's like, "Oh wow, he's pretty good." One kid, they use the same dropout, fall, and reaction, twice. Yeah. So I don't think he liked it. I think he did it once, and he was like, "I'm done." And kudos to you, kid. Kudos to you for not making him do it again. He finishes the guest house, and he looks at it and he goes, "You finally finished something that you started," which would be wonderful if it actually was fully finished.
Yeah, exactly.
The flooring's still not finished. I'm sure there's other things but the general drywall finished.
Yes, that's right.
And so kudos to him for that. Last but not least, They get to the Christmas party, and both Mo and Carter pop out of that trunk. And just because they can fit in it doesn't mean that they should or that they would for a drive. They're bouncing around, hitting each other. There's just not enough room for two grown men to be in the back of a Toyota, whatever that.
I think it was a Toyota Corolla.
There's just because they can fit in it doesn't mean they should.
There's no world where they could fit in it.
I mean, technically they do. We see them.
Big boy.
We see them, but
I don't think that's happening.
No, not
like in Out of Sight. George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez are sharing like a sedan trunk.
Yeah, and that scene works though. That's one of the best scenes ever. This, I don't know. I guarantee you that trunk was bigger than a Toyota Corolla, right? Like this is a compact car. I don't think I could fit in a trunk by myself of a Toyota Corolla.
Maybe they punched out the back seat.
Yeah, maybe they did that. Where then it doesn't make sense because they're sneaking them in. I don't know.
But maybe that's how they did it for the shot. That's the only thing I could figure because I don't think that they actually can.
Yeah.
Dan?
For a guy that says he's a carpenter, getting roped in to do work at a house, it's weird that she doesn't have him do any carpentry. He does drywall hanging, which is not that at all. He's lying, so it doesn't matter. And later they do build something out of wood, but it's weird. Also weird is this: he says he's a carpenter because he just talks about Jesus being a carpenter. And our leading lady looks at him and goes, "I thought Jesus was a fisherman." Is that a common misconception? I thought we were pretty much all on the same page that we knew Jesus was a Jewish carpenter.
He's a fisher of men.
A fisher of men. I mean, even I know that.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
No one talks about the shoes of the carpenter.
That's right. He wakes up drunk on a golf course because one of the golf course managers wakes him up. And that would be all well and good and make sense if it weren't 11 a.m. He says, "What time is it?" And the course manager says 11 a.m. So you mean to tell me before 11 a.m., no one played that golf course or managed it? That's not possible. It's just not. That's not possible. There's just no way. His mom then says, "You're going to go to this small town and you're going to blend in. And so you can't have all the normal perks that you have. We found a place for you to stay. You also can't have your normal company car. You've got to go incognito." What is incognito for him? A bumblebee yellow Fiat 500 with a black racing stripe on the side of it. Nothing says "I'm from out of town, ask me about my bank account" more than a bright yellow Fiat 500 with a black racing stripe.
Camouflage. Dazzle camouflage.
It's like there's three 1989 Chevys and a Fiat 500 as bright as the sun.
The shade Fiat gets in this movie is unjust.
They're like, this car starts shaking over 30. Guys, Fiat's a real company. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Real people made this car.
It's not a Vespa. It's a car.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that might be actionable.
That was tough. That was a tough one. I got a little off track with the bids, but I'm not really worried about that because I'm sure that rich people do this stuff all the time where they just wait and then outbid you. But at one point, he realizes the history of this wine because of a conveniently placed newspaper in the guest house
from the 70s, I believe.
Yeah. So basically, the short version is this is a guest house that needs complete renovation. But for some reason, in this guest house, the woman that lives there has kept newspapers from 50 years ago of the Los Santos Gazette. So not like the New York Times, like of the local news. And
just one newspaper, I think. I don't
there's
see
a stack.
Oh, there's a stack
because it's not like my husband got mentioned here, and so I'm keeping this. It's just a stack of 50-year-old newspapers in her guest home. All of this stuff happened before she was alive. I don't even know how she got it. Was it passed down? Were the papers passed down from her parents?
The fact that the old newspaper in this movie is from 1977 made me feel the way you did about Omar Gooding.
Fair, but I still think go watch Irvin on Hanging with Mr. Cooper. I would assume the first time somebody from that era saw the Fonz being the old man of wisdom, like that would be kind of not that Irvin from Hanging with Mr. Cooper is the Fonz, but I guess similar.
For what it's worth, when I was born, the papers from the 70s were also still really old. So
yes, but imagine when the first time you see a movie where Ryder Strong is like back in my day.
Grandpa.
Or like, you know what? The thing about women, you know what I mean? Like, when he starts in on one of those, like, you're going to be like, oh no. Oh no.
No, I know it's coming.
Your day will come and I'm going to.
I know.
That's right. There's a scene in this movie where the two sidekicks decide to fun nap the two leads. So they basically do this thing where they're fun napping them. One of them's got we're taking your kids and we're going to hang out with them so you guys can go on a date.
Easily the worst scene in this movie.
It's a weird scene. It's terrible, super cringy. They have the kids actually gagged.
Hated it.
It's not okay.
I would literally, if someone I knew did that to my kids, I would call them up and be like, generally a funny bit. Don't you ever, ever for any funsies do that to my children
I just go straight home and be like, this fun nap is over.
Fun nap's over. You went too far.
But they look at each other at the end of the scene and they go, looks like we got to hang out. Let's get a bottle of wine and go sit down with a cheese board. And as they walk off, our sage advice, Omar Gooding, goes, works every time. What? What? How many?
He's doing this all the time.
How often are you conspiring with this woman you just met to fun nap some children?
Maybe he's been doing it for years and he taught her how to do it, and she went a little too hard the first time.
Listen here,
he's like,
buck.
hey, next time you do, you can't do that to the kids. You can't do that. But generally, you got the idea.
Yeah. Two more quick ones. One is, they somehow do the Folgers Crystals bits where they're like, did you know you're not drinking some fancy French wine? You're actually drinking wine from right down the street. And
did you notice the name of the fake French wine?
No, what was it?
It was Chateau de Monteur, which is Liar's House.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think somebody would have caught that, you would think. I'm always reminded of the Chris Farley SNL sketch where they're like, are you where you're drinking Folgers Crystals? And he loses his mind, flips the table, and he's like, you son of a... It's one of my favorite moments in SNL history. It's like he loses his mind. It's great. But no one questions how they set up that sting. That's a lot of work. Your bottles, fake label, on there, all of those bottles at the dinner.
Because they got snuck in the
Toyota
car.
Corolla.
Where's the wine?
Yeah. I don't know
how
the
wine.
Did it.
The wine was already there.
Well, if Mo's the waiter, I guess he's able to maybe take the existing wine and stash it somewhere and replace it with his own.
Yeah.
and that's why they made him a waiter. I
Yeah.
guess they don't dwell on the
there's
details.
There's no Ocean's 11 reveal of how it happened.
No split
no.
screen.
Steven Soderbergh, they are not. Out of sight reference notwithstanding.
Yes.
And then lastly, and I got a chuckle out of this, and I saw our producer Aaron Shea in the other room also get a chuckle out of this. In his big speech at the end of this movie, he starts a line by saying, Dionysus once said, what? What? Is that what the Greek gods and goddesses are known for, is all of their quotes? You know, Zeus once said, you can't
In
judge a
the
book by
words
its
of
cover.
Athena.
That's right. I believe it was Nike that said, just do it. What are you talking about? Dionysus once said? Do you have a primary source on that?
According to our records.
That's right. I believe it was Hermes. That was absurd. Anything else would have worked there but that. That's all I got.
Oh, man.
Hermie doesn't like to make toys. I don't know if you know that. It's time for What the Flicks, where we talk about any questions that we still have that we'd like some answers to. Alonso?
Well, one of the things that I did kind of admire about this movie is, usually because the Hallmark movies are female centric for the characters, a lot we get businesswoman, hot widow with kid, and it's all about like new mommy bonding with potential kid. And this one, you've got the guy sort of becoming surrogate father figure to these two boys who've lost their dad, and they do the snowboarding bit, and that's all kind of nice. I'm wondering, like, when do the boys find out that he was totally lying about being a carpenter, about his name, about not being a Baldwin, and how does that go over for these emotionally fragile children?
Trust isn't important at that stage, I don't think.
Yeah,
Especially when they lost their dad already. I'm sure they're totally fine.
Fine.
Cool.
It's good.
Not
It's all good.
NBD.
That's right.
A lot of my kids all the time.
There's a woman on the board or something of Baldwin that at 3 different times
This is a great one.
is like, where's Carter?
Dude,
what's going on with Carter?
She is thirsty for some Carter.
What's going on with this woman and Carter?
It is unbelievable.
This woman is
It's her job to be 65
She's
years
written
old.
her own
She
backstory.
She is definitely like similar age to the mom, and she's very concerned about where Carter is. Way more concerned than the mom ever is.
She's got a whole cougar narrative going on.
I think she's got something going on for Carter. It's just a sneaky suspicion on my part. Dano?
Yeah, this is an easy one. The What the Flicks here is how many times now that we know that you can make the same movie over again, how many times can Netflix do this without complaints?
Now,
Like, can we get Christmas on the Vine next year?
Dan,
Holiday?
this is a really good question. Thank you for asking.
A Grand Crew
Yes,
Christmas.
a Grand Crew Christmas, absolutely.
That
for sure.
leads us to next week's movie.
Pinot Noel.
As I was looking this movie up,
You know they're going to make that one. Oh, don't even put that in the universe. Sorry, bro.
as I was looking up this movie, instead of searching for Holiday in the Vineyards, I searched for Vineyard Christmas. And wouldn't you know it, a Vineyard Christmas came out last year.
On Netflix?
No, on Zumo, but we are going to watch it
thank
for
goodness.
next week. A Vineyard Christmas.
Yeah.
Is it different at all? Let's find out.
Man.
A Vineyard Christmas 2023 Zumo. I believe it's on all sorts of different things now, not just on the Zumo app. So just search it. It'll pop up. A Vineyard Christmas, not to be confused
Meanwhile,
with Holiday in the Vineyard.
sorry. Meanwhile, Hallmark had a series of Vineyard movies with RLC, trust her as far as you throw her, and Brendan Penny, and they never got around to doing a Christmas one. And I think they're just clearly throwing money in this.
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
point.
it's free. It's free at that point.
So let's keep the good Vineyard vibes going for next week. You asked.
Yeah, I want to know just this
just
specific
Netflix
one, though.
specific for sure.
Yeah, if
but
Netflix can roll one or two of these out
I
every
think
year
if
until someone's
Netflix
like, I think I've seen this already.
I think if Netflix really tried, they could get their hands on this movie.
Yeah, I think they probably could.
think this movie's kind of out there for the
Zumo,
taking.
you said?
Yeah, it's out there for the taking.
It's like they don't realize that people will happily watch the same Christmas
That's right.
movie over and over again. It doesn't mean you have to keep making new same ones. They'll just watch the old ones.
This Josh Swickham or whatever his name is.
Do it again.
See how many times he can be like, let's try it again.
Let's try it again.
Let's see if we can keep doing this movie.
Swirl that glass around, baby.
It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be perfect next time.
Yeah.
Well, until next week's wine movie, and until tomorrow, of course. May we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.